something I hate about creepypastas particularly, but things in general, is inaccuracy. Okay, well, in general, I hate inaccuracy. Sorry. But one particular area that I always find in creepypastas, and like it's always the exact same inaccuracy, is mental health procedure. It's always, oh, let's have this person go insane, and let's have them be administered by professionals, except they'll just completely act in retarded ways. Like, I'm listening to Clockwork Story right now because I've seen a lot of fan art about her, and I'm like, who the fuck is she? I've never heard of her before, because I keep on seeing all this fan art, especially with Tiki Toby. Anyways, and like, she's after fucking up her own face, and then she goes to a therapist or whatever. She says Natalie isn't here right now, and then instantly the doctor gets up, talks to the parents, and then she's like drugged and like strapped to a bed. What? No. If you say something like that, they're like, okay, well, who am I talking to? And or what do you mean by that? Or they'll continue talking to them to try to get something. It's not like the second you say that you're automatically going to be fucking, thrown in the loony bin. They'll try to understand, because the thing is that when they have to, in order to do anything, they have to get a diagnosis. And if you say Natalie isn't here, like you say you're not who you are type thing, they have to figure out, okay, first of all, is it schizophrenia, or is it a personality disorder? If it's a personality disorder, what personality disorder is it, and what's the frequency of the personality changes, and like they have to figure out a lot of stuff about you to figure out what kind of medication will work for you, what other problems there could be, like for example not sleeping, or if it's more psychological or more biological, and etc., etc., etc. Now, I mean, myself, I do have experience with mental illness treatment, but not like with schizophrenia, personality disorders, or anything like that. I myself have been diagnosed with social anxiety disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and bipolar, rapid cycling bipolar 1 disorder. So, yeah, so, I do have a fair amount of experience. Oh yeah, and also chronic insomnia. Oh, yeah, I have issues, but the thing is that I'm dealing with them, so before anyone goes like, oh, you're just a dumb crazy bitch, and dismiss every other video I make after this, I take medication for it, I do therapy, and both, sitting talking, as well as, monitoring diet and exercise, and just daily self-care and everything else, so that I can, because people with mental illness can lead a healthy, productive life, and they just have to work a little bit harder than most people, but they can, like, oftentimes. Like, I'm not like gonna go crazy doing shit or whatever, because I keep myself under control. And so people always want to go with the let's make the character crazy, and oh, I love and then everyone thinks that the whole mental health treatment is the same as it was in the 50s. But then they don't even have a good understanding of the way it was in the 50s. They like just assume that if you're crazy, then you can be certified as insane, or you can be diagnosed as crazy or whatever, which isn't the case. They have to have a specific. Because the thing is that the whole point of all that treatment and going through all that stuff is to make the person better. They aren't going to be treating you like shit because, oh, you're a crazy person, it doesn't matter anyways. The whole point of any procedure for mental health is trying to make the person better. Otherwise, what's the point? Why not, if you're not going to actually be actively trying to improve their mental state, then why not just lock them up in a freaking loony bin and forget about them for all their life, which is what they used to do. But even then, they would do all these radical procedures, but they were in hopes of getting the person better. And now, and it's so hard to have those crazy person stories nowadays without having any personal experience or anecdotes to go on. And you can find them all over the internet. Like, seriously. And if you're a potential creepypasta writer and you want to learn more about the mental procedure, I can tell you, because I know a lot. And the whole, like, and one time I ended up in ER once because of because my mental state was so ridiculously unstable because I hadn't slept in over 5 days. So, like, I have experience. And the thing is that other people think, like, you get certified, like, you get thrown in asylum, no problem. Not the case. Unless you are a proven risk to either yourself or others, and or you are so mentally far gone that you have got, and it's been proven, that you are completely incapable of taking care of yourself, and there is no one else that could possibly do it. Now, this means, like, as in, like, your landlord went into your apartment and saw, because you weren't paying the bills because you weren't going to work, and you're lying around wallowing in your own filth, there's garbage everywhere, and, like, there's a bunch of other fines and going to jail and everything else, and realize you're mentally unstable, so it's either go to jail for all these, like, fines and everything else for fucking up my apartment building, or go to a mental health institution type thing, or in risk to yourself or others. Like, you seriously, like, you have to have attempted suicide and have no one you can go home with that will take care of you. Because my mom has attempted suicide multiple times, but she never ended up being committed. So it's actually really fucking hard to get put into a mental, like, you can apply to get put in there because you don't feel safe to yourself, but, you know, you gotta go through all sorts of procedure to get in there. You don't just get thrown in there. You can't just say, I want to go in here, and because I can't, because my mental health is just too bad, and everything else, because they don't have the funding, they don't have the room, they don't have the beds. You're always hearing about the shortage of doctors and everything else for physical ailments, but mental ailments get even less funding because people don't think that mental health is as serious because it's one of those invisible illnesses. So, you know, like, people are like, oh, well, you just need to get over it, and, you know, it's all in your head, and everything else, but they don't realize that it is actually partially physical, because, you know, the whole brain chemistry, like, I have an anxiety disorder, that means that my cortisol levels are too high, or too low, and my serotonin levels cortisol is too high and my serotonin is too low. I have ADHD, my dopamine levels are too low. Bipolar disorder, that one's really complicated, so I'm not even going to get into that. But yeah, basically, like, the serotonin's too low. Serotonin and dopamine are too low during the depressive episodes, and then dopamine and serotonin are way too high. Or, everything's all out of whack. That's obviously way oversimplifying something extremely complex, but, like, yeah, do a teeny, like, you can just Wikipedia it, like, spend half an hour on Wikipedia, and I swear to God you'll have a 10 times more accurate story to write. Don't go off of media, like the media, because they don't portray anything correctly. Like, come on. No. Like, if you're gonna have a person be insane, what do they have that's insane? Don't avoid it with, oh, well, the doctors are not telling me because, you know, they think I can't. No, they fucking always tell you. They are legally obligated to tell you. And if you ask them, they are legally obligated to tell you. Like, if they give you, okay, we're going to be putting you on a new drug, it's not going to be like, okay, what's the drug for? Not telling you. No. Be like, well, I'd love to know, so I know what I have. Like, they tell the patient, like, okay, we're going to be putting you on this medication, it's this type of medication, it's going to be treating this, this is what the side effects are, this is the time of day you take them, and blah, 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 and people, it just drives me crazy how little people know about actual mental health and mental health procedure and everything else, especially creepypasta writers. Like, come on! I mean, insanity is a wonderful topic to explore in horror, and when you do it right, it is good, but no one does it right anymore. Like, I love the whole madness-themed, you know, like, the horror based off of madness, and I have this thing, like, I'm obsessed with, like, the whole idea of madness in the mind, and, like, 50s asylums and everything else. I think that stuff is fascinating and really cool and fun to explore in horror, but people are just being retarded with it now. It's not only is it not scary, it's so bad, it's laughable and funny, because it's just hilarious. You know, those things are so bad that they're funny. Okay, this video is almost 10 minutes long. I'm gonna stop rambling about this shit right now.